Today we want to talk about a recent piece of car history and a prime example of how difficult it is for a legacy car maker to turn into a digital company. We talk about Cariad. The VW Group with all its brands traditionally has the problem that every brand designs their own hardware and software. For hardware, brands successfully work with platforms. So VW, for example, is designing the MQB platform for small cars with transversal engines. And for example, if Audi wants to have a compact car, they use the MQB platform and don't have to design the A3 from scratch. That saves costs and makes sense. For software, however, brands develop their own systems, and the same function had to be developed multiple times. With more and more digital functions in cars and over-the-air updates, it became important to improve the software development within the VW Group. And VW under Herbert Diess decided to create an own software company within VW. So they centralized the software development for the whole VW Group. And they did it in-house to be able to compete with American and Chinese startups. So it started out as a great idea. They started on 1st of January 2020 as Software Organization Wolfsburg AG. It was a huge and important future project, and now happened what also I experienced in my time in the VW Group. They put their most experienced people on the job. That sounds logical at first, but the most experienced people are the people which are in the company the longest. They have the old structure bonded in their heads, they reject any kind of innovation because that's additional work, and their favorite sentence is, "We've always done it like that." And these are exactly the kind of people you don't want in a startup-like new organization for innovative future technology. But it went further. They pulled all these experienced people from all brands of the group together in one place. So they transferred people from VW, Audi, Porsche, Skoda and suppliers. And they didn't come empty-handed. They brought their current projects with them. Instead of having a small agile team with a plan, the organization grew to a few thousand people within the first few months, and no one had a plan what they should do. Insiders say they joined and didn't have a clue what their job actually was. There was no job description, so everyone just did what they knew. Porsche people created Porsche processes. Audi people created Audi processes. VW people created VW processes, and so on. Engineers reported they had 17 status meetings per week, reporting the same thing every time, just on different slides. And just like in the big VW Group, people were busier with PowerPoint and Outlook than actually coding and creating something. So the internal software company went to suppliers for software. At the same time, they implemented the same management structure and bureaucracy as in the big VW Group. It was just like a scale version of it. In March 2021, they changed the name to Cariad, which stands for Car I Am Digital, which already tells you a lot. So there was this Cariad now, the software company within the VW Group. Their main task was to design the software architecture of the future for the whole group. But at the same time, everyone dumped their software issues on them. So instead of concentrating on developing the new 2.0 software platform, they had to fix the software bugs of the 1.1 architecture, so the one the MEB cars use, and additionally the 1.2 architecture, so the one PPE cars use. These architectures were still created or started in the old VW structure and were so complicated with so many different suppliers and handovers that components couldn't communicate with each other, and it turned into a huge chaos, which created many software issues for customers and even delayed new cars for a few years. Again, these systems were created badly before Cariad was founded, and Cariad now had to fix it. And because all software development was now dumped on Cariad, everyone blamed them for the delays. They hired people like crazy, and the organization grew to 6,000 people. Sometimes the application process took less than 24 hours. Although VW wanted Cariad to work as flexible as a startup, they also wanted to create the largest software firm in Germany, after SAP. Lots of managers just saw it as a stepping stone for their career and were not interested in the product. Another problem was that Cariad never had their own budget, so they couldn't make decisions on their own. The money came from the different brands, and for them, Cariad was just a software supplier who should give them what they want. And you shouldn't underestimate the internal fights between the brands. By default, Porsche didn't want what Audi had, and Audi always wants something else than VW. Cariad sometimes needed to design the same feature in 6 different versions, one for each brand, because they couldn't agree on a single solution. Usually, Cariad should have decided what to design, but the brands paid them and so they didn't have a say, and that was a never-resolved conflict. And it went even further. Brands actively worked against Cariad. They didn't want to lose power, so they built their own software teams internally. They were blocking decisions, and some even leaked negative stories to the press about Cariad. Porsche, for example, was developing their own software platform in parallel, although they don't have the sales volume. And while all of this was going on, Cariad wanted to offer the best work-life balance. There was no overtime, guaranteed remote work, the same corporate benefits, and even better pay. Default was less than 40 hours a week, and Friday at 11 a.m. the weekend started. This is not how you beat American or Chinese startups. Because the problems internally were so big, they had McKinsey coming in to analyze what's the problem. They found structural issues and forecasted huge delays. They then formed a task force to fix things, but everything got worse. Now employees had to give status reports every morning and evening, so no one could really work productively. Everyone was just doing slides for their reports. In the meantime, Herbert Diess left and Oliver Blume became new VW CEO, also with a task to solve the Cariad issue. By the way, he was Porsche CEO at the same time. He came to the conclusion that Cariad is such a big mess and they need other solutions. So they started a cooperation with the American company Rivian in the west and with the Chinese company XPeng in the east. So because they failed with doing software in-house, the VW group is now relying on external partners who of course have their own agenda as well. What does that mean for Cariad now? They already reduced the headcount by 2,000 people. And since the new software architecture is coming from somewhere else now, Cariad is left with maintenance of old software. And officially, they approve software that comes from Rivian and XPeng and pass it on to the brands. But for that, there's still too many people. VW can still say that Cariad exists and does something with software, so they don't have to admit that they want to get rid of it. So the big new VW software company, which started as a good idea, pretty quickly became a huge disaster. They hired too many people too quickly, reintroduced old structures, had no own budget and couldn't make their own decisions. In the end, it's a miracle that under these circumstances, Cariad could still manage to fix the 1.1 platform and enable the 1.2 platform, so they can sell MEB and PPE cars now. VW lost more than 14 billion euro with Cariad for an organization they are dissolving now. And that at a time when financial strength was important. Because the PPE software wasn't done in time, Porsche had to delay the electric Macan by 2 years, which cost Porsche 3 billion euro alone, not to mention the delayed Audi cars. Now, VW invested $5.8 billion in Rivian and 700 million euro in XPeng. So Cariad shows you how hard it is for legacy car makers to make the change to a digital world. And especially for the VW group, it shows you how extreme the fight between the brands within VW is, and that not even the CEO can control it. The brands just do what they want. I hope you liked this little insight, and if you did, please consider to become a B-Sport Club member for early access and more videos like this. See you at the next one.